Rocky Creek Bridge repair. So it's 10 o'clock. I'd like to go ahead and call the committee meeting for Measure P&S Oversight Committee to order. And let's see, do we need to go over online protocol etiquette?
Yes.
Okay.
Shall I start with roll call?
Oh,
Roll
that's
call?
probably
Yeah.
a good
Okay.
good place. Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's see. Rick Aldinger,
Here.
Justin Cheng,
Here.
Carol Trebajian,
Here.
Rick Hoyer. Let's see, City of Monterey is committed to the safe attendance of its public meetings. Masks are recommended regardless of vaccination status, except those who are younger than 2 years old or have a medical condition that prevents wearing a mask. We ask that attendees in council chambers keep phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference and feedback with the hybrid meeting. Information on participation in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom, is available on the meeting agenda online at iSearchMonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is your turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this point, then we'll start with approval of our January 22nd meeting minutes. Have any questions or comments on the minutes? And if not, I'd be looking for a motion to approve those, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Can we go ahead and take a roll call vote on that one?
Rick Aldinger,
Yes.
Justin Chang,
Yes.
and Carol Trebajian.
Yes.
Thank you. And now we're public comment. Anything public has to address the Measure P&S Oversight Committee that is not on today's agenda. Is there any such public comment? Janine Chikarat.
Yes, I'm Janine Chikarat. I'm the managing director here at the Portola Hotel and Spa. I'm not actually here to represent the Portola. My ask today is that we all take a look at the sidewalks on the city of Alvarado Street. There's a request in for NCIP money to tear out all the brick sidewalks and redo that. And I honestly believe the revitalization of Alvarado Street starts with tearing out those old sidewalks that are in disrepair, they're hazardous, they have trips and falls. When it's raining, those leaves come down. I can't wear these shoes because I don't have enough treads on them. I've almost fallen flat on my face on Alvarado Street. And I think now's the time to do a project that benefits every single resident in the community. We need to, Kennery Road looks good, and there are other pockets of the city look fantastic. And you go to downtown Alvarado Street and it just looks tired. Similar to when the conference center got revitalized and we had that old driveway and it was just horrible and you couldn't clean it. It didn't come clean. And it's the same thing that's going on with downtown Alvarado Street. So I firmly believe if we start there and create that sense of pride on Alvarado Street and replace that sidewalks, there's so many other building blocks that we can do to make that even more revitalized, that there's just a huge opportunity. So I hope you'll consider it. I did ask Louis Marcuso, for a number. I said, Louis, I won't hold it to you. And he says, well, rough number would be $1.5 million to do the whole project. So I'm thinking if Measure SRP could do $500,000 and we can get the NCIP to do $1 million, that we come together as a community and do this project. We made the first cut through NCIP. There's a request on behalf of OMBA for that money. So I think now is the time for everybody to start talking and hopefully we can make something special happen for downtown Monterey.
Thank you very much, Janine. And if I understand the process correctly here, little help from staff on this one. This is something that under member comments, we can request to be agendized. Is that the proper process here to move this forward? Okay. And so we'll figure out how we can make that a part of the discussion then. The only hurdle I can think of is just making sure that it actually falls under the language of the original measure. And if that is what it is, then it sounds like a good project to me and a good use of partnering with other entities for the funding of that. And so we'll do what we can to figure out if that is how it is, how it can be part of Measure P&S funding.
If it can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Because revitalization, fluffing up, beautifying is one thing. Measure P&S funds are for repairing streets, storm drains and sidewalks. So it would have to fall under, that would have to be examined to make sure it fell under that category.
Yeah, and it sounds like there is that possibility. We'll just have to figure out if it does indeed fall under the repair and maintenance portion of the measure. But yeah, thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. That brings us to, let's see, item number 2 on the agenda, reviewing unaudited expenditures from July 1st, 23 through March 31st, 24 for conformance to Measure P&S language. Rafael.
Good morning, Chair and board members. Let's start with the activities. We'll start with the expenditures. So for storm drains, we have $1.2 million spent through March 31st. The first 3 quarters. Sidewalks, we spent 1.4, pavement 3.8, and ADA $465,000 for a total of this fiscal year thus far $7,092,900. Comparing from the same point last year, I'm just going to do expenditures. So this time last year, we had spent $46,718 during that same quarter. This year is a significant amount more work that's been done, 1.2 million. Sidewalks, 431,000, again, significant 1.4 million that's been done. Pavement 2.1 down to up to 3.8, and from ADA 433,000 last year to 465,000. So a significant amount more has been completed. Well, let me not say completed. It's been worked on and paid for. So the next page will have a revenue status. So for the first 3 quarters, we have come in year to date 6.1 million in sales tax. Interest is 306,000. Our other revenue we talked about at our last meeting, it was for a reimbursement from Middlebrook from contract. So we brought in so far 6.7 million. That's at 56.6% of the budget. And just a reminder that the revenues come in, they lag about 2 months. So we're on target. So for storm drains, so you can see the list of vendors that's been paid at 1.19 million, and for staff, it's 81,961 with a total for storm drain projects of 1.2 million. And then for our sidewalks, there's a list of all of the projects that have been paid at 1.3 million. Staff time comes to 168,000, so a total 1.47. And then for pavements, again, all the listing of what's been paid out in the last quarter, or the first 3 quarters, 3.6 million. And then for our staff time, 252,000. There's a total of 3.8 million. And then for the ADA, same thing, all the projects are listed there, coming to 358,000 in staff time, 170,000 for a total of 465,000. Talk about the other details in the next report. So this is all for the unexpended expenditures. Any questions?
I know I have a couple of questions on the sidewalks. I just want to understand the lighthouse curve sediment and how that relates to the, we talked about sediment at the last meeting, same deal, but how does this apply to sidewalks, I guess?
That's a good question. So Andrew Schling, city engineer. So on the lighthouse curve, you may have noticed a kind of a wood wall that's been installed in the last few months. There was a lot of sediment and debris that was coming off Lower Presidio and onto the sidewalks. It's archaeological sensitive. That's a former burial ground. So we were seeing bones and other kind of artifacts that were coming onto the sidewalk. So we did use sidewalk funds to put up that temporary retaining wall to kind of stop the debris from floating onto the sidewalk, because in addition to be kind of culturally insensitive to have all that stuff on the sidewalk, it was also pretty expensive to handle that material, to make sure it was moved and kind of handled in a sensitive manner. So it's a temporary solution. The Army is working on a more permanent wall solution up there. So that wood wall is just kind of temporary to make sure that sidewalk remains clear and unblocked.
So ultimately, it's the Army's responsibility for the permanent fix. Is that what I'm hearing?
The Army is leading the permanent fix. I'd say that it's always kind of a joint responsibility. It is our sidewalk, and the right-of-way lines, property lines in that area aren't actually that intuitive. So there's portions of that area that are the city's property and portions that are the Army's property.
Okay.
So was there expense then too, if bones are falling on the sidewalk, to have them removed and repatriated or whatever, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Reburied?
Dudek, if you see some expenses in here from Dudek, those are one of our on-call archaeologists. And so they were one of our vendors that were there to help make sure that the material was handled appropriately.
Actually, yeah, it looks like that was about 50-50 with the consulting with Dudek versus the actual retaining wall that was put in.
Right.
Perhaps. And Dudek, I mean, they're one of our on-call, so they do more in the city than just that
Okay.
wall project. So they probably were doing archaeological reports for other areas as well.
Okay, all right. And the only other question I had was on ADA then, second line on that, the Franklin Street peer review, is that a common routine element of the ADA process?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out where you're at. Second page of ADA?
Yeah, second line of
Oh.
ADA, Franklin Street peer review from Kimley Horn.
Kimley Horn is one of our designers. Franklin Street peer review, I think we're in the process of doing ADA upgrades to our signals on Franklin Street. So the peer review, I think they were doing a second look at our design. So that one's actually currently out to bid. So hopefully either later this year or next year, we'll be upgrading some of the signals and pedestrian ramps on Franklin Street. And Kimley Horn was our designer on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Any other questions from the committee?
I do. I thought it was interesting under storm drains that I think they spent as much now so far as we have over the whole period of P&S and storm drains. Is that, I mean, there's the huge sediment from Iris Canyon.
Yes, so that project, I think we're finally starting to catch up on the paperwork and billing. That contractor, they're nearing completion. They still need to do some of the final planting. But we're now just starting to kind of process all of the construction invoices, which are always a few months in the rear. So that's now why you're seeing a lot of expenditures, is because they've done most of that project, all the sediment removal, grading out the channel, planting most of the material. But now you're starting to see the expenses because we processed those invoices and paid them.
Just thought, holy cow, how did that happen all of a sudden? It was like, it didn't, okay.
Well,
And then, then-
yeah, it didn't happen all of a sudden, but we're now starting to process the payments.
All of a sudden, the money is being spent.
yeah, right, or processed. Then under pavement, I just want to know what this is. California Coastal Commission exempt fees. What are those for?
So we do have to submit applications for coastal development permits. And I'm still trying to get to the bottom of this. Sometimes they exempt our fees, sometimes they don't. But we do have to at least submit the application to the Coastal Commission for any sort of project, because they have to permit, obviously, anything inside the coastal zone. So these, it looks like 2 applications for road rehab projects, Robert Surf and R&R Ford at Van Buren. It looks like they did charge us fees here. For some reason, in the description, it says exempt fee. But I still need to get to the bottom of it. Sometimes they exempt our projects from payment, and other times they do require process or making a payment. Max, yeah, yeah.
Hi, Max Reeser. Oh, how do I turn this on? That's a little different.
Oh, it does look different, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a little different. Speak loud. Yeah. Hello, Max Reeser, Associate Civil Engineer. I'm project manager for those 2 projects. Yeah, they did waive those fees. We wrote them a check. They clarified that the City of Monterey, we are exempt from their fees. So that they destroyed those checks. So it was a PO that we did cut. That was not applicable. So moving forward, you won't see that again.
And we'll see a credit on the next
I believe so. Yeah.
report. We'll show that credit back.
My understanding is that they destroyed the checks. If it's showing up as they did not, we can follow up on that.
Yeah, please, because that was in February. And I've never seen it. That's why I'm asking. I've never seen it before.
Good catch. Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
They
technically,
do show on their application, we get the same application as the public does. There is a fee charge to apply for an exemption. We went ahead and wrote them a check for it. And then she circled back with me and said, no, this isn't, you guys actually are exempt, we waived that fee for the public, for the City of Monterey's projects. And she said they were going to destroy the check. So I'm assuming that's what they did, but we'll have to verify that.
So finance would not know unless you let us know, because we'll always show them as outstanding. So these are checks that were cut.
Yeah,
So if
okay.
we don't know that they should be voided, so once they're voided, it'll show a credit.
Okay.
So we, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
because
good question. Yeah,
technically, anything in the city of Monterey is in the coastal zone.
not exactly.
Really?
Not exactly, yeah. It's like Del Monte and kind of meanders along the coast. It's
Okay.
anything getting close, but it's a lot of it's not.
Okay.
The Robert Surf Del Monte Beach area
Yeah.
is.
That's absolutely right on it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right on it. There's a small section, the Road Rehab 4 project, like the Van Buren, down at Sino. There's a little bit of it in the coastal zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We're looking for any public comment on this item.
We do have one public comment. Commenter, would you please unmute yourself and also please stay within the 3-minute time limit?
Thank you. Hi, my name is John Tilley. Actually, I was commenting back on the opening comments. I was on the phone, but wasn't recognized. And this would be on sidewalk repairs on Alvarado Street, downtown Monterey. I'm the president of the Monterey Commercial Property Owners Association. group of people who own property in Monterey and are just always looking for ways to benefit the city. Also speaking as the original steering committee chairman for Measure P, sidewalks definitely were discussed in detail in those meetings, and bringing them into funding was certainly a consideration. Carve-outs in particular were discussed. There were financial reasons why they were brought into it. And I would encourage those funds of $500,000 to be used for sidewalk repairs, along with any other additional city funds available for these purposes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, John. Any other public comment?
No other public comments.
Okay, and so unless there are any other questions, I'd be looking for a motion then to accept the unaudited expenditures report from July 1st, 23 to March 31st, 24.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? And a roll call vote, please.
Rick Aldinger,
Yes.
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Turbagian.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on, item 4. Item 3. Get ahead of myself. Review the unaudited periodic report from July 1st, 23 through March 31st, 24.
So similar.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the revenues at this time. So from inception of the Measure PNS through March 31st, the total revenue, including interest that we received, is $88,930,809. Our total expenditures to date is $71,532,627. So our fund balance is now $17.4 million. So for the first 3 quarters of this fiscal year, 23-24, total revenue is $6.7 million, which includes the $325 of the other revenue for the Van Buren project. And then our total expenditures for the first 9 months is $7,092,000. And so the change in fund balance just for this fiscal year is a decrease of $328,543 for this year. And so year over year revenue from last year, this time last year, we received 6.8 million. This year, 6.1 million. So a slight decrease, about 10% of 700,000. Interest, 147 this time last year is almost double. Basically, it is double, 306,000. And then of course the other revenue. So that's the difference of 209,000. So just down 3% from this same time last year. I'm sure we will make it up for the next quarter.
And so is that just a delay in funds coming in, or just because we're expecting a higher performance as we move forward?
I think it'll be about the same. I think it'll be, because I think the sales tax are they're about flat. Everything's starting to flatten out. So I think it's just about the same.
Okay.
It's like,
Any questions?
yeah, I'm wondering because of 700,000. Trying to think if there's any reason. There's nothing that was, no properties that were closed. I mean, the weather wasn't great. But it wasn't fabulous last winter either. And we had higher collection. I don't know what. And well, it could have been US Women's Open was in July of, I don't know. I can't think of what $700,000 is not, is a chunk for it to be down just for no reason.
This might be the first quarter we're seeing M&S closing, the construction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
That's a lot of sales tax out of there.
And there was, I mean, the Pro-Am was worse than it's been in a lot of years. And that was, I think, some tax monies too. Very few, not to say none, very few of the hotels were sold out during the Pro-Am in Monterey.
Right. And so
Um,
group sales will decrease your sales tax as well.
Yeah. Which means we need to fix the Pro-Am.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Any public comment, Salisa?
No public comment.
All right, then, unless there's anything else, any other questions, no, I'm looking for a motion to accept the unaudited periodic report,
So
July
moved.
1st, to March 31st.
Yeah, so moved.
Second,
Thanks for switching it up. Any discussion? A roll call vote, please.
Rick Aldinger,
Yes.
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Cheryl Chavajian.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, now item 4, review street rehabilitation and reconstruction reports from January 24 through December 24.
All right, well, good morning. So we have 2 reports for you this morning. One is the complete pavement condition database. That's about 17 pages, and that gives you all the street segments. I think in past couple meetings, I mentioned we were doing an update of our assessment of the pavement condition. So we've received kind of our initial results on that. And actually, to my surprise, our pavement condition index score increased a little bit.
Well,
So that's some good news. This list is that updated database. So that includes the updated assessment with the recently completed visual assessment of our street conditions. The other report in front of you is the Measure PS paving projects for 2024. So that's kind of the look ahead of what we've got planned for this next year. Obviously, we do have some ongoing work, RSR 4 and 5 are going on in New Monterey and on Lighthouse. And so you saw the news last week or the week before, we made the news causing Carmageddon in Monterey. But we are trying to complete the work before the summer, before tourism season starts. And so that's the big push right now. I've also included in our list of 2024 projects, some road rehab projects we have planned for later this year too. So RR4 will include Van Buren, Jackson Street and Del Monte, RR5 in Hawthorne, and RR6, Monroe and Monrose. And we also have RR8 hopefully at Robert Surf, which I apologize, I don't think, I'm looking at the list and I don't think it got included in this spreadsheet, but it will be in the 17-page report as well.
Okay.
And you hopefully should have gotten the Excel versions of these lists emailed to you so that you can
Yes, thank
filter
you.
through at your discretion and try to isolate the street segments or the pavement condition that you want to look at.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
That's,
thank you.
yeah, very helpful indeed. And so you said the PCI went up, and maybe I missed it. What is the new number?
So it should be about 79. I think so it's always falling. And so last time I checked, it was around 79, which is, it's pretty good. Most cities in the area have a pavement condition index around 50, 60. So Monterey is definitely has some of the best pavement conditions around. I can get you that exact number as soon as I get back to the office. I can email it back if you'd like, but I believe it's at 79 right now.
Okay, thank you.
I remember and when we were first starting with P that I think it was Clyde who said that a 70 score, PCI of 75 is considered very good. And I'm like, he's a teacher. And I said, well, that to me is a C and that's kind of average, but in PCI 75 or above this is really good right now, right?
Yes, 75 is considered pretty good. Having a pavement condition index of 100 would be probably a little impractical. That means you'd be doing probably road work on your street every year, keeping it that perfect condition.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think a PCI score of 75 is a pretty good status.
And I haven't looked closely, but that 79, 75, 79, do we have anything left that is like 0 or near?
Nothing that's 0. We don't have any gravel roads in town, but we do have some streets that are in disrepair. And some of the most challenging streets are the ones that are left. So Foam and Franklin are concrete streets that are going to need slab replacements or some other, pretty involved treatment. Those are still on our list. We still have a few street segments that we haven't touched since the adoption of Measure S and Measure P. So there are street segments that we need to get to still, but overall a PCI score of 79 is pretty good.
So just you brought up the concrete sections. If a street is now in concrete, will it be rehabbed in concrete, or is that a case by case basis, whether it's that or?
It's case by
asphalt.
case, and we're working with some of our engineers and our consultants to do a little analysis and develop recommendations that would be most beneficial for the city in the future. So we have, like I said, a couple streets that are concrete streets, and we're doing geotechnical analysis, and we're going to do some cost benefit analysis to come up with a solution that's really most favorable to the city. What's going to make sense in the long run.
And you said also that, Monterey, as we would have expected, it has a higher PCI rating than their surrounding cities. That just out of curiosity, do you have any numbers for the others?
So I came from the city of Salinas about a year ago. We were struggling to maintain a PCI score of around 54 when I left, and it was falling every year. And so I know most cities that don't have the same level of local helps or the sales tax measure to maintain our roads, they're all in a tough spot because gas tax revenues, honestly, there's more uses for those, and that revenue is spread thin, and street maintenance continues to get more expensive every year. And most cities are a little overcommitted in their maintenance. So I know, like I said, Salinas, we were falling behind to come to a city that has this self-help measure and to have the revenue streams that we do. It's really nice to have the ability to deliver pavement projects.
I think we were about 54% when we started, probably ish
Yes.
down around there. But yes, it absolutely. But I think if you're looking at Foam Street, I think it should be timed exactly with Lighthouse to see how much worse we can make it. We don't want to tell anybody we're associated with this commitment. I don't know anything about Measure P or S. We're going to kill us.
So I just, wondering if we could use some of these numbers to kind of motivate some of our surrounding communities to initiate something similar. But it's really nice that this money is being used so effectively. You can tell. All right, so let's see. Any other questions on the report on street rehab and planning? Any public comment on this one?
No public comment.
All right, then be looking for a motion to receive and approve the reports.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? And a vote, please, Lisa.
Rick Altinger,
Yes.
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Travagian.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. This brings us to committee member comments. And I would just start, reiterate public comment we got at the beginning of the meeting regarding the feasibility or the appropriateness of partnering with thank you, the NIP money on rehabbing sidewalks, the brick sidewalks specifically in downtown and on Alvarado, so that we can move forward with this. If we can get that agendized to discuss, or if we can receive a report at our next meeting that will specify, whether that is something that can be moved forward with and what the process would be.
I think we need to also, and I don't know when, there's another meeting, 25th. There are meetings to see if that project through NIP actually makes the cut. It made a first cut. They have to tour. I mean, it isn't a definite NIP project yet, I don't think.
Exactly. It's not a definite NIP project or NCIP project until council approves the final NCIP list, and that'll happen sometime later in the fall, I believe.
But even NCIP hasn't approved it as the final cut either, right?
Yeah, NCIP hasn't developed their final rankings or recommendations to council yet. And then once it's approved by a council resolution, that's when it becomes a legitimate project.
So would that probably be definitely probably next fiscal year? Absolutely, it wouldn't happen until then.
Yes,
So council will make those approvals in the fall, you said?
I believe so. That's my recollection of the time frame. Yes, I'm getting some nods. Yes.
Okay.
The fall, and then I think they would go into effect the next fiscal year.
So I wonder if we can get, if you all are able to report back to the committee kind of two parallel tracks here, one that would include NIP money and what the capacity of PNS funds would be without their participation, if that's something that could happen. And I guess we're talking about the brick portions in particular that, again, if they are considered in need of repair, that PNS money could and should be used to again, rehab those in brick as well, if that's, like I said, either with or without NIP money.
I can definitely come back with you with some better answers. I'd hate to kind of shoot from the hip and give you a response that I'm not confident in.
Sure, but yeah,
Yeah, I think by next meeting, I can have at least some answers for you. If not, unless we can do an informal presentation, I'm not sure, but at least I can have some answers for you next meeting.
yeah, it sounds like if final approval isn't until the fall of, if, next meeting is probably okay for that, right?
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we just have to make sure that it sounds like repair of the tripping and falling hazard stuff. The repair part definitely would be in compliance with the ballot measure. But the question I have is how much of it is, beautification, revitalization, how much is repair? Because we're repair.
Yeah, and we can maybe give you some high level estimates, but nothing with precision until we've really done
Right.
real assessment and some more engineering and planning. And I'll also kind of caveat that is some of the repairs the responsibility of the adjacent property owner. The city of Monterey, like many cities throughout California, require that the adjacent property owner maintain the sidewalk on their frontage. And so if we're talking about repairs of sidewalks that are still private owner responsibilities, then using Measure PS funds would be kind of a gift of public funds, which we can't do. So we're only talking about the areas that are the city's responsibility to maintain and repair. And it wouldn't be upgrades. So it wouldn't be upgrading sidewalk sections to paver sections. It would really just be maintaining existing pavers. And so I think I have to look at the NCIP application a little more closely, look at the NCIP program, or sorry, the Measure PNS eligibility requirements as well, and make sure that I can give you some definitive answers next meeting. Because again, I'd hate to shoot from the hip and say, oh yeah, we can totally do that.
No,
And then in reality, it would not be legitimate use of Measure PS.
well, you can totally do it, but not with this money. Okay.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I was wondering too about, potential partnership with OMBA or something like that too. And it
Yeah.
sounds like it's pretty clear cut that if it's city's responsibility, there's a possibility, perhaps. We'll find
But-
out. But if it's not, it's not.
There could be, though, a combination of monies then if it is an owner responsibility and NCIP and Measure P, where it could all fit together to get it done totally. I'd mention that because again, like Cannery Row, where the Cannery Row Business Association worked with P money, with other monies to fix parts of Cannery Row. So if that might be something too, if you went to if the business owners, this is your part of the sidewalk is your responsibility. However, we're willing to come in and help with this to make a total package. And it might make them feel a little bit better too about their responsibility and keeping the repairing the sidewalks.
Yeah. So, all right, some possibilities. And yeah, we look forward to some additional information on that. Any other member comments? Justin?
Just a brief comment. This is for staff. The quality and character of the disclosure that we've received has improved markedly since I got here. And so good job.
Thank you.
Thanks. Carol, anything else?
Nothing else. Thank you.
All right, I think that finishes things up for us. And so I have 10:38. We will go ahead and adjourn. Thank you very much.